Okay, so let's get into it.
Do
Dr.
it.
C, Dr. Cliff. So, from what I understand, you're gonna have to send me that director's cut of your documentary because I
Yep.
want to see it. But from what I understand, and I did look at your Instagram, it looks like you do a variety of veterinarian services. You have some wild animals that you're caring for. You also have looks like some domestic animals, dogs, cats, etc.
Yeah, I mean, my boring day job, and I don't think it's boring, I love it, is I own a animal hospital, a companion animal hospital in Markham, which is just, one city north of Toronto, 20 minutes outside of Toronto. And I've owned it for 25 years. And it was just cats and dogs, and it kind of still is just cats and dogs. But the travel bug bit me about 9 years ago, and I did some volunteer traveling in Jamaica. And I was filming it and doing this fun little YouTube channel and trying to pitch a TV show, which is how the documentary came about. And when I got to Jamaica, and then when I was planning other trips, I realized I'd forgotten or didn't have enough experience with wildlife. Because in Jamaica, I had to do surgery on a crocodile, so that was kind of cool. And so I started volunteering. It was only supposed to be for 6 months. I started volunteering at a wildlife rescue, Canada's busiest wildlife rescue, and they had no veterinarian at the time. And 7 years later, I'm still doing it. I still go every Thursday. So most of my Instagram posts are related to my travel and related to my wild animal stuff, because that's kind of the Dr. Cliff brand.
Right.
And frankly, it's a little more interesting. Instead of seeing a husky that looks like a wolf, I have a video coming up in a day or two about an actual gray wolf that I tried to vaccinate, and he tried to eat my face.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the wild animals and the non-domesticated animals for a moment. Just from my side, behaviorally speaking, and your side, medically speaking, are you examining these animals literally in the wild, or are there zoos, or just you said rescue and sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
Type of situations, but are any just actually in the wild?
So for my every Thursday, once a week here, they're wild animals that were found injured or sick or orphaned, if they're really young, and brought to the rehabber. And I mean, they're not mine. I work with this great team of animal rescuers that know how to handle all these animals. And then, they snap the x-rays, and I figure out how surgery is going to be done. And then we all work together. But when I go and travel abroad, the crocodile was part of the zoo. I did flying bats, like flying foxes, so giant fruit bats in India. And they were in the wild. They were in the city, but they were wild animals. Jamaican funnel-eared bats, which are these tiny little mouse-sized bats down in the bottoms of St. Clair caves that were being affected by white nose syndrome. So that's completely wild. Some Jamaican iguanas, completely wild. And then various birds and, creatures of that nature. A monkey, a rhesus monkey in India, completely wild. So, here in Canada, the wildlife, it's pretty hard to examine a deer or a porcupine or a bald eagle in the wild. So we scoop them up and get them to the rehabbers.
Do you now I'm sure with some of the animals you do, you're taking care of them, you're doing surgery. Can you release them back into the wild? Do you tag them? Do you follow them?
Yeah, so in Canada, the rules are we follow the Ministry of Natural Resources rules that allows the Shades of Hope Rescue to keep their license. We are only allowed to treat animals that can be eventually released. There's a rare circumstance where I can do a letter to the Ministry of Natural Resources and we'll be allowed to treat and save an animal that will become like a teaching animal. Which is where I saw the wolf and the bobcat recently at a place called Speaking of Wildlife. But we have these rules the animal has to be releasable, and it has to be able to live relatively without pain. It's not going to be receiving medication. It has to be able to travel if it's a migratory bird. It has to be able to hunt if it's a hunter. It has to be able to escape prey or escape predators if it's prey. And it even has to be able to breed, so if we get a female porcupine, they'll get hit by cars around now this time of year. And if their pelvises are fractured to the point where they're not going to be able to have healthy, safe pregnancies or births, we unfortunately have to euthanize them. So all of these animals are wild animals that will be released into the wild, which is my favorite part, being able to release them. Whether it's a snapping turtle or, again, this bald eagle that I helped rescue and did surgery on. And then 2 minutes before releasing it, it bit me. It bit me to say thank you.
No,
it was
come on.
I know.
What a bite. That must have been like, I'm thinking, how big was that bald eagle?
Yeah, she was a monster. She was we named her Wolf because she was really nasty. Which is fitting. We don't want them to imprint on us. We want them to stay wild. And honestly, as always is the case, her biting me was my fault. I knew she was nasty. We're on the frozen Niagara River. It was like February a couple of years ago. I just wanted to get my hands on her one more time. So I faked a reason. Let me just make sure the wing is okay and check out its, stability of the ligaments. And I let my guard down, and she gave me a little nip. But it was just a little nip. Like, it hurt a little bit, but it didn't break the skin. So I actually think she was saying thank you in her own way, because she could have probably taken my finger off. So
definitely. What bite inhibition?
Yeah. So
control?
I think she held back to kind of say, I appreciate that you saved me, but I'm also a wild animal, so I'm going to teach you a little bit of a lesson. Which, thank you for Wolf for doing that.
Don't fuck with me. Yeah,
that's right. Exactly. And then the funny thing is after she took off, she flew to the south. So we quickly realized, you're an American bald eagle. Now I know why you bit us. Now I know why you bit us.
No, we're not all like that.
The bald. I know one out of one. One for one. That's,
right. I'm so funny. I was telling my partner, I was like, hey, I was just trying to watch this documentary. This was before, and it came up that I couldn't watch it because it's not licensed, because it's Canadian and we're in the US. And so I wonder if that has to do with the climate over here.
That's right.
We joked around about that.
We were afraid of tariffs. I was going to get into a tariff.
Exactly. 500%. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But so two things. I do want to get back to, how the heck do you learn how to do it? Surgery on a crocodile, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But with the wolf was also wild, brought in for some type of treatment?
Like the gray wolf that tried to
tried to attack you?
Yeah. So no, he lives permanently in captivity. So this is an education center called Speaking of Wildlife, and
that's right.
This gray wolf was born in captivity, and then they didn't have anyone to keep it. And this lovely woman, Crystal, said, "Sure, I'll take him just for a couple of months, and then we'll find a home for him." Well, she quickly fell in love with him and ended up building this giant structure for him. So he is trained. Although he did eat some gabapentin and some trazodone to kind of reduce his anxiety, it didn't work. He laughs in the face of our fear anxiety meds.
Your human drugs.
That's right. He is bonded to Crystal, so he is trained to come up to the fence, and she'll like give him really good deep neck scratches and ear scratches. And so while he did that, I waited behind her and then poked him in the butt. And the first time we got it, that was fine with his rabies vaccine. The second one was distemper parvo, and by then he had learned. And so the second I poked him, he spun around and put his paws up, and shoved his nose trying to get through the fence at me. The whole time in love with Crystal, thinks she's the greatest person in the world, not realizing that she asked me to come and do this, so she's an accessory. But yeah, he's in captivity. So him and the bobcat are in captivity, but the vast majority. I haven't seen a wolf at Shades of Hope, but I've done a lot of coyotes, and then some bigger mammals like deer and things of that nature. They had some bear cubs there a while ago, but we basically quickly took care of them, made sure they was okay, and then sent them to a bear specialty sanctuary. But it's an amazing place because, I've done surgery and I've done medical treatments on, again, these big mammals, but then even things as small as, hummingbirds. I pinned the broken shin of an American bullfrog who lived in Canada, but an American bullfrog.
He ran away.
He's got a Canadian passport. He was born here, but he has heritage back in the U.S. But he's an American bullfrog. So I've quickly learned how to figure out these comparative anatomies and physiologies, and frankly, I listen to the technicians. I listen to the non-veterinarians, and I keep my mouth shut and open up my ears, and they can sort of tell me the intricacies that I've forgotten from 27 years ago of graduating from vet school. But it's been a wonderful addition to my career, being able to work with these people and these animals.
That's amazing. Like, what an adventure, really. So, okay, so when you were in vet school, I mean, I know you probably dissected a frog, right? In biology, but did you do surgery on amphibians or anything like that? Or was it really mostly domestic animals, or did you have any large animal experience?
Yeah, so I graduated from the University of Guelph, one of the best schools in the world. And we graduate fully trained to do every single species. Now, we definitely, I would say 80 to 90% of our lessons and our hands-on experience are cats, dogs, and food animals and working animals like horses, cattle, pigs, chickens, and then cats and dogs. I did take some extra courses on exotic and avian medicine, but they were courses. They weren't hands-on. They did not have really any exotic animals or avian cases while I was doing my rotations. And then I ended up working for a wonderful veterinarian clinic that just did cats and dogs. So I kind of lost that ability. And then I bought my own practice, and it was already a practice. So it only did cats and dogs, and then I had kids, and all these things changed. So I kind of lost that passion, or I guess the ability, the time to keep up with it, because it really is kind of a specialty. And
absolutely,
but I've become quite great at it, like 7 years of it, and being forced to do it because I'm the only. Now there's a second veterinarian, Dr. Wendy, who's amazing. So she volunteers on Mondays. I volunteer on Thursdays. But for about 5.5 years, 6 years, I was the only vet they had. So it would be like, here's a bird with a broken wing. You've been doing some research and reading some books and looking at x-rays through this veterinary information network service that I'm a part of, basically talking to experts. Why don't you give it a try? Because if you can't, we're going to have to say goodbye to this bird. We're going to have to euthanize it. So it's a real sink or swim, or fly or crash, maybe way of learning.
Crash or burn, yeah.
And that's how I learned, and it's been amazing.
That's quite an experience. All right, so let's talk about the crocodile.
So the crocodile, they named him One-Eyed Jack, and it's because he was, after I got my hands on him, he was only going to have one eye. So I guess he was named Jack, and then they called him One-Eyed Jack after I had to deal with him. He was an American crocodile that was at the Kingston Zoo in Jamaica. And the amazing thing about the Kingston Zoo in Jamaica is they really are more of a sanctuary. Like, most of the animals there are wild animals, almost all from the Caribbean, that can't live out in the wild anymore, like a one-eyed crocodile. This guy had been shot by a farmer with a spear gun. The farmer was frightened. They're trying to educate the population about these creatures, but he had an infection. We had to remove the eye. And again, other than the anesthetic being a little bit different, so I just trusted in the technicians on what anesthetic is going to sedate and how do I do a nerve block. Removing the eye on a crocodile is like removing the eye on a dog. You just have to ignore the armored, scaly eyelids. The other thing I tell people is taking something out is a lot easier than putting something back together.
That makes sense.
Kind of like, I'm not a mechanic. I'm not very handy with my car, but if you give me all the tools, I can take the engine apart. I wouldn't know how to put it back together, but I can take it apart.
Right.
So that's my secret, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually not as hard being a veterinarian, at least in the beginning stages.
As long as I'm taking things apart.
That's right. If you're taking things apart, you can figure it out.
Oh, man. So now I also read somewhere, I don't know if it's what Dana sent me or I don't remember. You were at a sanctuary in Greece.
Yeah. So that Jamaica was my first volunteer travel trip. And then I went with my girlfriend, now my wife, to visit her family in Greece. She's Greek. They have a place in Athens. And when I was there, I was working with the 9 Lives Cat Rescue of Athens. So basically street cats, we were vaccinating them and scooping them up if they're injured and treating them on the steps, with the Acropolis right over top of us is pretty amazing. Well, unfortunately, wildfires are a big problem this time of year in Greece. And sometimes the infrastructure is not there to save the communities. And there had been a wildfire that had destroyed this community called Neobustas. And about 2,000 homes gone. Unfortunately, a couple hundred people died. So we went in. I wasn't planning this. I did my 2 days with the cat rescue. I was going to go up to the village and drink ouzo and eat watermelon and relax for a couple of days. All the bouzouki, listen to the bouzouki. But they said, hey, we need a veterinarian to come in with us now that this wildfire is gone and rescue animals. And I said, honey, I guess I'm going to have to meet you up in the village. And she's like, that's fine. I'll drink the ouzo without you.
Go. I'll be fine.
So now it's become a regular thing. Every time we go to Greece, which is pretty much every year, I volunteer with this cat rescue. And unfortunately, there's often wildfires that need to be dealt with after the fact.
Yeah. I'm half Greek, and my sister and I went to Greece in 93.
Okay.
And we were going to go island hopping, but long story short, we wound up staying on this one island called Egina, and we rented these little mopeds and we're like zooming around the island. And there was an animal sanctuary, and I have pictures somewhere. I was like, I wish I could find them. Of their sanctuary was like a pelican, a donkey, like all in the same area, totally same thing. But they were raising money for the sanctuary, but it was a hodgepodge of animals, and it was very small. But it was interesting to see I almost took a dog home with me because there was a stray dog that I just fell in love with. And I was like, you could take him home. There's like no laws. You could take anything back from Greece into the US, I decided against it. But there were a lot of stray dogs, not too many cats on this particular island, but definitely dogs.
Yeah. And I mean, I forgot I did some volunteering on the island of Peros as well, which is right beside Antiperos, which I think is hilarious. There's an island named Peros and the other island's named not Peros.
Only the Greeks would do that.
Only the Greeks. We are
Yeah.
against perros.
Yes.
You probably have cousins on one island or the other, and they're like, we're not speaking to you anymore.
Exactly.
But unless there's Uzo involved, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a wonderful country, and
Yeah.
it's a great way for me. It's a great way to see other countries. I don't like vacationing, or my brain kind of can't handle more than a couple of days of vacationing. So instead of vacationing and traveling, I do these sorts of trips.
Yeah.